Somewhere there is a company you have never heard of, with no storefront and no app you ever installed. And it has a file on you. The file has your name on it, and the names of the people you live with. It knows roughly what you earn, what you owe, what you buy, where you go on a Tuesday, and the kind of person it has decided you are. You never signed up for it. You were never told it existed, and it is for sale. This is the data broker industry, and it is one of the largest businesses almost nobody can name. It does not sell you a product. You are the product, and the buyers are everyone from advertisers to insurers to people checking up on you. This is the episode about who they are, where they get it, and how 1,000 small leaks become one detailed portrait of your life. The industry nobody can name. Ask most people to name a data broker and they cannot do it. That is not an accident, and it is not your fault. The whole business is built to sit one layer back from the things you actually touch. So you deal with the app or the store or the website, and the broker quietly deals with them. There are hundreds of these firms, and a handful of very large ones at the center. Some of them have held files on most adults in entire countries for years. They have never needed you to know their names because you were never their customer. You were the inventory. Think about what that arrangement does. A normal company has to keep its customers happy because the customer can walk away. A data broker has no such pressure with you because you are not the one paying. The people it has to please are the buyers, and the buyers want the file to be deeper and more accurate every year. Every incentive in the business points toward knowing you better, and none of them point toward telling you about it, where the data actually comes from. The first surprise is how ordinary the sources are. Almost none of it is stolen or secret. It is collected in plain sight, in the small everyday moments where you hand something over without thinking about it. Your loyalty card at the supermarket is a data feed. The discount is the price they pay for a complete record of what you eat, what you drink, what you stop buying, and roughly when your household changed. The warranty card you filled out for a kettle was never about the kettle. It was a clean, self-reported sheet of your name, your address, your age, and your habits, mailed in by you for free. The leaks you sign up for. Then there are the apps. A flashlight app, a weather app, a simple game. Each one quietly carrying code whose only job is to harvest data and sell it onward. The app is free because you were never the customer there either. A lot of what they sell is location. An app that asks for your position to show the weather can log where you sleep, where you work, where you pray, and who you spend your nights near. Then pass that trail to a broker who buys it in bulk. On its own, one ping is nothing. The pattern, day after day, is a map of your entire life. Usage data goes the same way. How long you spend in an app, what you tap, when you open it, how often you come back. Each of those signals seems too small to matter, and that is exactly the cover under which it travels. A broker does not need any single tap to be revealing. It needs millions of them, tied to a name, building a picture of your routine that you could not draw about yourself. The public record goldmine. A huge amount comes from records that are public by design. Property deeds, court filings, voter rolls, business licenses, marriage and birth records. Each one was made public for an honest reason, so people could verify ownership or check a court. Brokers scrape all of it at scale, automatically, and fold it together. One record tells you almost nothing. 10,000 records about 10,000 people, merged and cross-referenced, become a searchable database of where everyone lives, who they married, what they own, and what court they once stood in. The trail you leave online. Then there is everything you do on the open web. The sites you read, the things you searched, the products you lingered on, the newsletters you opened. Trackers on ordinary websites watch the journey and report it back. And that stream gets bought too. None of this is hidden from you in the moment. You clicked, you scrolled, you browsed. It just never occurred to you that the browsing itself was the product, gathered quietly and sold as a record of your attention and your interests. Building the identity graph. Here is where it becomes something larger than the sum of its leaks. A broker does not want a pile of disconnected facts. It wants one profile. And the central trick of the whole industry is stitching every scrap back to a single person. They call the result an identity graph. The graph is the engine. It takes your loyalty card record, your warranty card, your court filing, your location trail, your browsing, your email address, your phone number, and it works out that all of these belong to the same human being. Each source is matched to the others by the small overlaps between them. An address here, a phone number there, until separate trails collapse into one. The matching does not even need a perfect key. Two records that share a household and a rough age and a handful of habits can be linked with high confidence. And once they are linked, they reinforce each other. The more sources point at the same person, the surer the graph becomes. And the surer it becomes, the easier it is to attach the next source. Accuracy compounds, and the file grows tighter with every new feed, merging your two selves. The most valuable thing the graph does is join your offline life to your online one. The version of you that shops in physical stores and the version that scrolls at night used to be two strangers. The broker's job is to prove they are the same person. Once those halves are joined, the profile gets sharp. It knows you bought a crib in a shop last month and started reading about strollers online this week. It knows the car you registered and the car insurance quotes you searched. The offline self and the online self stop being separate. And what is left is a single record that follows you across both, what they sell you as. The broker does not usually sell the raw file. It sells you sorted into segments, which are labels describing the kind of person it has decided you are. New parent, frequent traveler, likely diabetic, financially stressed, recently divorced, quietly looking for a new job. Some of those labels are harmless. Some of them are the most sensitive facts about a life, inferred from your behavior and attached to your name without anyone asking you. The segment is the unit of sale. An advertiser buys the people who match, and you are bought and sold as a category you were never shown. And many of the labels are guesses. The broker did not read your medical chart to decide you are likely diabetic. It watched the products you bought and the things you searched and made an inference, and that inference now travels as if it were a fact. You cannot see the guess, so you cannot correct it, and a wrong label about you can be just as consequential as a true one. The segment does not have to be right, it only has to be sellable. Who is buying? The buyers go far beyond advertising, even though advertising is the loudest one. An advertiser wants the new parents so it can sell strollers. That is the part most people half expect. It gets quieter from there. Insurers buy data to estimate risk before they price you. Lenders and landlords buy it to decide about you before they meet you. Employers run background products built on it, and people checking up on other people. An ex, a date, a rival, can buy a surprising amount through services sitting on top of the same pipes. The file does not just sell you a product. Sometimes it decides what you are allowed to have. That is the part that should give you pause. An advertisement you can ignore, a price you are quoted, a loan you are denied, an apartment that quietly goes to someone else. Those you cannot. When a decision about your life is made partly from a file you never saw, you do not get to know which line in it counted against you. The same portrait that sells you a stroller can also sit unseen behind a no. The opacity is the point. The strangest feature of this industry is how little you are allowed to see of it. There is no statement that arrives each month listing what is held on you and who bought it. For most people, the profile is completely invisible, working away in the background of decisions that affect them. That opacity is not a flaw in the system. It is the system. A market for personal data works best when the person being described has no idea the description exists, cannot read it, and cannot argue with it. You are the most important party to the transaction, and the only one not in the room. The rights you barely have. It is not entirely lawless. Depending on where you live, you may have real rights. The right to ask a broker what it holds on you. The right to ask it to delete that. The right to tell it not to sell. On paper, these are genuine, and they matter. The trouble is using them at any scale. The rights usually work one broker at a time, and there are hundreds of brokers. You would have to find each one, prove who you are to a company that already knows exactly who you are, file the request, and then do it all again next year when your data flows back in. The rights are real. They are just built to be exhausting, and exhaustion is a defense the industry quietly relies on. How the defenders cope. The people who take this seriously do not try to win it outright, because you cannot. They treat it as ongoing maintenance instead of a one-time fix. They send deletion requests in batches. They use services that chase the brokers on their behalf. And they accept that the data will partly refill and the work is never done. They also try to give less at the source. They fill in fewer warranty cards. They think twice before a free app asks for location it does not need. They keep the loyalty card for the discount but know what it costs. None of this makes you invisible. It just slows the flow into the file. And slowing the flow is the realistic goal, not erasing it. The honest framing is that this is a leak you manage, not a wound you close. The data already out there will not come back, and the brokers are very good at refilling what you remove. The point of the effort is not a clean record. It is a slightly thinner one, gathered slightly more slowly, with fewer of the most sensitive details handed over for free. That is a modest win, and modest is the only kind on offer here. Why it is so hard to stop? The reason this is hard to undo is that no single step felt like a mistake. The loyalty card saved you money. The weather app was convenient. The public record existed for good reasons. Each leak, on its own, was small and reasonable and barely worth a second thought. The broker's genius is patience and merging. It does not need any one source to betray you. It needs 100 tiny ones, none of which seemed important, all assembled into a portrait that none of them could have drawn alone. You defended each door, and the file was built from the gaps between them. A product made of leaks, so step back and see the whole shape of it. You are not really being watched by one camera. You are being assembled quietly and continuously, from 1,000 small things you handed over without noticing, by companies you will never meet, and sold to people who will use the picture to decide things about you. The file is not the real you. It is a version of you, built from leaks, that the world increasingly treats as if it were you. And the unsettling part is not that someone is keeping it. It is that you helped write every line one small leak at a time, and were never shown the page. If this is the kind of thing you want to keep seeing taken apart, the machinery under the modern web explained from the inside, subscribe and follow the rabbit hole. There is a great deal more of this than one episode can hold, and it only gets stranger the deeper you go. Next time we follow one of those leaks all the way down. Your location, sold by an app, even when you thought you had it handled. We look at how apps track your location with GPS turned off, and why turning it off does far less than you would hope.